What's going on, guys? This is Foresight Capital, and today we're going to take a look at the 3 stocks that ARK Invest added the most to their position over the last trading week of 2020. The reason that this is important is because ARK Invest completed their buying and selling operations for the last week of the year in order to maximize the tax efficiencies, so they were able to sell a lot of stocks for a profit and even some for a loss, and then plow that money into other stocks that they may or may not have owned a lot of at this point. And when they're plowing a lot of the money that they've sold out of other stocks into new stocks, those new stocks are potentially the ones that they're the most bullish on. So we're going to take a look at each of these stocks using lucidtrackingcom, which is a paid service that I'm in no way affiliated with, but I think is really great for tracking ARK Invest's buying and selling operations within each of their ETFs individually, so that you can get a good idea for what they're bullish on and start doing your own research on these individual stocks. Now, all that I ask is that if this video brings you value, give it a thumbs up, and if you're new here, consider subscribing because it really helps this channel reach more people. Now we're going to take a look at the aggregate section, which will give us the buys and sells for each of the stocks, and I've already gone ahead and sorted it by the 7% change in percentage of shares added, and we can see that the number one stock that ARK Invest was buying over the last week was Magna International. Now, Magna International is located on the Toronto Stock Exchange, and they're actually a pretty big company already. We can see that they've got a current market cap of about $21 billion and are mature enough to pay a dividend, meaning that they're very likely a profitable company. And the reason potentially that ARK Invest was purchasing these shares is because they just came across with a contract with Fisker Automotive in order to produce each of their cars in the European market. So Fisker signed exclusive rights to have Magna produce their cars, and Magna currently produces a lot of higher-end automakers' cars in the European market. So they're very well known for their reliability within the marketplace, and as a result it seems that Fisker is lining their potential business with Magna Automotive, and it seems that ARK Invest is very bullish on the stock as a result. So if we go ahead and pull up ticker symbol MGA here on TradingView, we can see that once they landed this contract, which was on the week before the Christmas holiday, they had a pretty big run up and then a bit of a pullback, and ARK Invest actually started buying right in the middle of this pullback and consolidation period. So they didn't really buy the hype, but instead bought once we had a little bit of a pullback, and that could be very bullish that they're projecting that this is going to continue to reach all-time highs, potentially as Fisker ups the number of orders that they have. So currently Fisker has 10,400 orders for their Ocean vehicle, and that just continues to rise, meaning that the contract potential for Magna keeps increasing. And as we can see, if they're getting alternate energy vehicle contracts, there's potential to pick up a lot of the other European manufacturing for other alternative energy vehicles that are out there. So more to come on that in the future, but it seems like ARK Invest feels that this has a lot of potential upside, and as a result increased their holdings within the stock very substantially, over 140% just over the past week. Now the next stock down on the list is Nano Dimension, ticker symbol NNDM, and we can see that they added $521,000 worth of shares, which was about 84% of their total holdings within the stock. Now Nano Dimensions produces precision manufacturing systems, and these systems are really dedicated for the aerospace, defense, medical, and automotive industries, and help companies provide or produce precision systems in-house rather than having to outsource a lot of their overall production. So we can see here on the chart that ARK Invest has been adding a very substantial amount of shares of Nano Dimension over the past couple of weeks, but really got very bullish on the stock towards the end of December. We can see that they had 4.58 million shares and bumped that up to 8.3 million shares worth of Nano Dimension just over the past week, heading into the end of the year, which was just 521,000 shares, but a very substantial increase no matter what in their total holdings. And if we pull up Nano Dimension stock chart here, we can see that they've been on a bit of a decline over the past week. So they had a bit of a run up early on in the week and then had a sell off once they hit the $10 per share barrier that's technically speaking, a very psychological barrier that's hard to break through, and had a bit of a pullback down to $9.15 per share where they closed out the trading year. Now they've recently traded above $10 per share, so this pullback is a bit over 10% down from their recent highs, meaning that if you look at the technical side of things, they potentially have a lot of room to run up. And of course, they're a very infant company within the industry, so they've got a lot of potential revenue growth and profit growth in the future. And it seems that ARK Invest would agree and is adding a very substantial amount of their overall holdings in Nano Dimensions just over the past week. And the last stock that we're going to talk about today is Baidu, ticker symbol BIDU, and they're actually headquartered on the NASDAQ Global Market, or they're actually involved with the NASDAQ Global Market. As we can see here, still a very large company, a $58.95 billion company. If you're not familiar with Baidu, they're effectively the Google for the Chinese market. They're a search engine, but they have a lot of other revenue streams, but they actually are involved with over 90% of China's online search inquiries, much like Google is a very large holder of the total American market search inquiries, as well as multiple other companies. And we can see here that ARK Invest has been adding very heavily to Baidu as well over the past couple of weeks, but over the past week and towards the end of the year, they went from holding 1.3 million shares to over 2.1 million shares in just one single trading day, and that actually represents a 64% increase in their overall position for Baidu just over the past week. They added over 844,000 shares to their total position for over $2 million. And if we go ahead and pull that up here and just take a look at their chart over the past week, we can see that they did have a good week to end the year. So the week started on Monday around December 28th, and they had a pretty big run up into the end of the week before a bit of a pullback, once reaching about $230 per share. So they are trading about $15 per share off of their recent highs, and ARK Invest started actually buying. If we go back and pull up their buying operations here, we can see that they purchased their largest number of shares on December 29th, heading into December 30th. And that's actually when they had a little bit of a pullback from the recent highs back down, and ultimately we're trading around $215 per share. So again, potentially they see some very long-term potential for Baidu, and that's why they're adding shares at what would be recent highs, but a little bit of a pullback from that, potentially looking for some increase in share price there. So that's the three companies that ARK Invest was most bullish on, at least in terms of percentage change in the number of shares that they owned over the last week of the year. There were a lot of other companies that they added more shares of, but I want to look at percentage change because that actually gives us a better picture of how they ultimately feel about the stock versus just the number of shares, which could solely be a function of the price of the shares rather than their actual indicator of whether or not they fully believe in the company moving forward. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Do you currently own any of these stocks? And if not, which one are you most likely to buy? Curious to hear. I really appreciate you watching till the end. And again, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. We follow ARK Invest buying and selling operations so that you can do your own due diligence on these stocks in the future. Again, thanks for watching until the end, and catch you in the next one.